I don't feel great at it. Some heroes definitely more comfortable than others, but
Cool, dude. And this is so for replay selection, we don't need anything that's like fancy for replays. Like we don't have to have a win or a loss or anything. All we have to have is a game in which you are trying to win, and preferably it should be like a meta hero. That would be nice as well.
okay.
Just because meta heroes are the way to go. Because you're probably going to play the meta hero in your official game, so it makes sense.
You have a Sven one if you want to look at that, but
Yeah, Spectre's fine. I know Spectre a lot more than I know Sven, so this I'll be able to give you better feedback. Can you see my screen? Is the video good?
yeah, I can see it.
Sweet. Yeah, I apologize to anybody who I've previously coached. I fucked up my Discord settings so much, and it's been like for 6 months. I was giving you the worst possible settings, which is pretty funny. Okay, taking a look at the team here. What are you expecting your lane to be?
Bounty Pango.
Bounty Pango. Okay,
I
so
think is
against a Bounty Pango, what items would you normally go? You're a Spectre.
Well, my thought was that
So
it was a
in lane.
Pango 3,
Yep.
Bounty 4.
Sure, I would make that assumption as well.
And I was expecting the Bounty to just try and... I guess I would expect the Bounty to try and click me a lot.
Yep.
So I would want 2 sets of Tangos, Clone Blade for last hits, and then just stats.
So that's your like.
I think that
that's
was
your,
my thought process.
Sure. Okay. So like, let's say at 10 minutes, what items do you want to have? Roughly.
Ideally, I think Treads Blade Mail.
Treads
Or
Blade Mail, sure.
at least Treads, I think. Yeah.
Works for me. So you're thinking you're going to go the Blade Mail build as opposed to the Echo Saber route?
Yeah.
Nice. And what about the game is telling you Blade Mail?
Lich damage, Slark, or like Lich and Slark and Ursa all want to hit me, and I'm sorry, I didn't say that well. Lich has uncontrollable damage, which I think Blade Mail is good against.
Yep.
Slark and Ursa want to be hitting.
Yeah.
And I want to discourage that one, and I think
Sure.
Echo Saber. I don't think I really thought of Echo Saber at the time, but I think they're more on like the tanky side, and
So let's think about Blade Mail a little bit. What's going to happen when you get engaged on by Ursa and you pop Blade Mail? What's the Ursa's response going to be?
probably enrage and keep hitting me.
Yeah, exactly. What's the Slark's response when you Blade Mail?
That I'm not so sure about. I guess he would stop attacking, but
He could also just attack through it. You know, he doesn't do that much damage, especially in the early. Like if you're just building stacks, he's probably like, okay, like I'm gonna just keep hitting you, and then, once I feel danger, I'm gonna leave. So, and same thing for like Pango. Like Blade Mail really doesn't deal with any of his stuff, and Bounty also doesn't really care about your Blade Mail. And so you're definitely right about the Lich. The Blade Mail is a good item there. You could like just pop it and he is going to die one way or another, right? But this is, you're against like 2 physical attackers with Slark and Ursa who probably, they don't really give a fuck about Blade Mail. So if you're on like this Ursa hero, if you're against, this is great. If you're against an Ursa, like Blade Mail is one of the worst items because he just is going to enrage and shake off all of your damage. So you only really want to go Blade Mail when you're Wraith King against Ursa, because you essentially force him to enrage and BKB when he initiates on you the first time. So then you pop Blade Mail, he pops his shit, and then you resurrect again, and then you're like, haha, you're enraged and BKB on cooldown. Other than that, it's you would pretty much not go Blade Mail against Ursa, because he has this enrage spell, which is just like, all right, good. I want to hit you. You want to get hit. So it's an ideal situation. So you're thinking about survivability against a Slark and an Ursa. Probably evasion would be your best route. So I would actually probably go Radiance this game.
Okay.
Now, it's really hard to, like, I'm not making I'm not gonna tell you to go Radiantly like on other heroes. It's just in this particular game, that's how I would break down, like what I'm going to do, like what I'm gonna build. So at 10 minutes, I would like to just essentially have whatever it is. Maybe I am going Blade Mail into Radiance, or Echo Saber into Radiance, or Midas into Radiance. I'm not just gonna go raw Radiance.
Mm-hmm.
But the goal would be I'm gearing up towards my Radiance. Maybe I go, like you're saying, like your appraisal in that, your bounty is going to click you. This Pango is going to try and click you. Try and get some. I mean, maybe that's how Pango's not played anymore. But either way, you're against two melee heroes, so Blade Mail is good. Also, what's it called? Wraith Band is also pretty decent because it just gives a shitload of armor.
Right.
So, those are kind of how you could approach the game. This Radiance purchase, don't pay too much attention to that, but just trying to break down what's going to happen in the game. And I think, how many games of Dota do you have?
Sorry, I'm back.
Oh, how many games of Dota do you have?
I want to say 4,000, 5,000,
5,000, 1,000 to 5,000. That you said?
5,000.
5,000, yeah. So you definitely have enough games of Dota to know how these heroes are gonna interact with each other, as well as almost any any Dota player. As soon as you played that many games of Dota, you know what happens when Ursa attacks a Spectre with a Blade Mail. You just have you just have to think about it. You have to in the 20 seconds that you have to pay attention to path out your item build. You have to figure out the full story of this game, and
right.
Oftentimes people don't do that, me included. Only when you're fucking Arteezy are you actually literally thinking about the game every time optimally.
Yeah.
Okay, so
can I say something?
Yes.
Regarding the Radiance, my thought was, I don't think I even thought of it,
Sure,
or at the very least I dismissed it really early. Probably because I look at Ursa, Bounty, Pango, and I think they're gonna be really aggressive, and Radiance seems like an item that takes or at least from what it's always been the item that seems
it's
like
definitely
it takes a
slow
long time to get online.
Definitely slow. But fortunately, you don't care about playing slow this game because you're pretty countered by this Slark and Ursa. So you have no way, you're not going to out tempo an Ursa and a Slark.
Right.
But your team might be able to. And so your playstyle this game is going to be to chill. Just farm Ancients, farm jungle, and then pop Haunt to get a couple kills. That's essentially what you're doing. So, if you were to go Blade Mail or Echo Saber into Manta, that is a fighting build, but your hero can't fight.
Because of their heroes.
Yeah, exactly. So
you
you can go Midas, Radiance, AC, Heart, you can get all that shit. And maybe you just go Radiance, Manta, Butterfly. That might be a better mechanism of dealing with these heroes. And if you can get that really fast, because Radiance is a really good farming item on Spectre. And maybe you can go Blade Mail. Maybe it'll help you live against the Ursa or against whoever. But yeah, thinking about it may not be the right option. There might be a different way to play it. Maybe you just rush, Manta, and maybe that's better. Who knows?
Okay.
All right. As for homework, why are you blocking this creep wave? That's the first question. Is there something you're trying to achieve?
Not really. I think that's just a habit
Cool.
from being an off laner.
So when you're playing in the safe lane on Radiant, you cannot block your creep lane if you know that the enemy has some likelihood of not blocking. Because you'll see what happens here is you block it and it brings it under tower. So right off the bat, don't do this. And if you do want to block, if you do want to, like, you know, secure lane superiority, you need to just let one creep go, and then that one creep would, you know, even if the opponent's block, then the one creep would go and then get attacked, and then it would die because it's like, you know, 4-on-1. So if you do want, yeah, that's a better way. As soon as you see this happening, what you should have done is creep dragged to, like, you know, attack the bounty and bring the creeps out of your tower.
Okay.
Unless you're intentionally, like, you know, there are valid like lane equilibrium, like push. If you feel like you have a pushing advantage, which you don't because you're a Spectre, you have very little AoE. If you thought I can shove the lane and my support can pull, and if I approach the enemy tower, I'm not going to get killed, then you can definitely shove the lane. And then you just tell your support, give me full XP. I'm going to shove the lane. You just pull. That would be a valid strategy. But right now, we're not doing any of that. We're just, you know, on autopilot.
Okay.
Your CSing is really good, and like this is a really good decision to attack this guy. At least so far, your CS is really good. And you know, if your CSing is poor, it's probably because of the lane dynamic.
Right.
All right. So, do we know if that was worthwhile? Let's see. So, one thing I've noticed is I don't think you have selected the enemy hero. You don't know how much regen they have.
Mm-hmm.
So you know how much regen you have. You have 6 tangos. Oh, you clicked on him for a second?
Don't think I consciously looked at what he had.
So he has a salve tango, and Pango has salve healing and tango. And then your Dark Willow has... So you guys are like around the same regen level. You guys have a little bit more. And you guys are just naturally a little bit more tanky. So, you know, like when you're trading, like it's there's always good opportunities to make trades, but there's also like strategic, like, you know, the idea that they don't have much regen, so I'm gonna fuck them up.
Right.
Do you edge pan or do you mouse drag?
Edge pan looks like, I think. I don't really consciously think of what I use.
It's funny.
I think it's a combination of both.
I see. Pretty Bob. Okay. Alright. So I'm seeing a theme here where you're not conscious of the most important thing in the lane. The creep equilibrium. So your job as a carry, like what you want most is to just like safely farm. You like, and this is kind of the shift between like off laner and safe laner is you really do just want the most safe farm. You don't want to die. Dying is one of the most costly thing that a carry can do, and every stage of the game until you hit that switch where, like, you know, you are now super powerful. Up until that point, you need to, like, every single moment, everything that you do needs to be very calculated and very safe. So instead of dragging this creep wave under tower, you should 110% just tank these creeps.
Okay.
You should bring them in front of your tower, like barely-ish, and then like walk them around so you don't get hit that much. Because, you know, what we're gonna see here is probably these creeps die, and then now you have to go up into dangerous territory because your hard camp was single pulled, which is never going to kill your creeps unless the enemy spams them down. and like you would have been in a really good spot had you just tanked those creeps. I guarantee that those creeps, it was 3 of them with a range creep, that would have at least killed 1 or 2 of your melee creeps, especially if you're focusing on denying as soon as they get to half health. And that was, yeah, the dire here only have 2 creeps versus 3. So the dire creeps would have pushed in, and you would have had pretty good equilibrium after that point. The dire would have had a creep advantage.
Okay.
It does net you a kill, so it works out, but that's not going to happen every game.
Yeah. And like that kill, that doesn't seem like something that was.
What does it
do? Yeah. It was just the Dark Willow slapped this Pango. All right, so like here, this is obviously super scary, and like if you're gonna ask like why don't I have a lot of CS, is because the creep equilibrium is like not advantageous for you. It's advantageous for your opponents. So like your opponents gets a 2-on-1. So like anytime you go up for a creep, they have the opportunity to fuck you up. Anytime that a creep gets low, they have the opportunity to both deny it. And your Willow is now being forced into the jungle. So you're putting yourself in a 2 versus 1 situation.
Yeah.
So this pull is good. And so what you should do here, so they're you know,
I can freeze the creeps in front of the
100%.
jungle.
You can freeze these motherfuckers, or you know, you actually have enough time to drag it around and have it meet here. So you can even do that if you don't want to take that damage. You could probably do it because you have, you know, like pretty good survivability. Your skill build is 100% wrong. You shouldn't go Desolate. You should definitely go Dispersion. Dispersion is what you want to max on Spectre now, mostly because it's your mechanism to farm. So getting a point in Desolate, you know, you're gonna sacrifice that. Yeah, Dispersion is it's the best skill almost in the game of Dota. Really good value point, like even just getting 1 level. This is 8% of damage is just reduced, you know, like that's like crazy. Like
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody has an armored talent here, but like that's nuts. I mean, like look at Punch. Flesh Heap is just like 12% magic damage, you know, like oh yeah, magic resistance. It's not even like fuck, man, this is 8% of all damage. And it's reflected back, so it's crazy good. So like, how much CS did we miss for that? So let's see. We missed. So these guys are worth like, yeah, we'll say 36 gold. So we missed 36 gold, and we've missed around 47 gold. And let's see if we get. Does this guy die too? Yeah, he died. So, you know, they have a salve on the Pango. They have a ring of health on the bounty, who also just salved. So, like, you know, you're kind of playing. It's a little bit late in the game to do like a war on attrition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was like not a good play. You didn't get a kill. You made them burn 2 salves when they don't really need. Like, who cares about their salves right now?
Right.
Oh, 1 second here. My mom has just come over to my apartment. Give me 2 seconds here. Oh. I'm just on a work call now. Okay. I guess, yeah, sure. But hey, I'm busy now, so don't be loud. Like 20 minutes. Alright, I'm back. Are you here?
Yes.
Sure, yeah. My mom is going on a vacation and she's giving me her cats. That's pretty fun.
Sorry, friends.
Alright. So yeah, creep equilibrium for sure. It's an issue. But I'm seeing pretty good things from you overall. But I don't think there's not much like there's not much to really comment on beyond like that fundamental like component. Just that is the most important thing in the laning stage is managing the creep equilibrium. Your CSing is good. Like Spectre's a hard hero to CS well on. Yeah, like the reason why you're low HP and having to jungle at 5 minutes when you have a winning lane, like you killed your opponents twice. It's purely because you just shoved the lane. So that's actually a really good thing because now we can very clearly identify, like one thing to work on.
Okay.
Because if everything else is good, like your decision making for these fights is really good, and you definitely need to get the right skill builds, and that's also really easy to fix. So like, don't even bother feeling bad about that. That's like one I can just tell you, like go 2-0-3 most games, or 3-0-2. Like you want to max Spectral Dagger, you want to max Dispersion, and you want to get Desolate last. You don't want to go stats, but your job is not to hit heroes at all.
Okay.
And Desolate would be, it's not a farming ability, it's a hitting hero ability, for the most part.
I don't think so.
Alright, so let's just quickly look into some other stuff. So you went Boots first, and Boots first is actually subpar compared to Band of Elvenskin first on these agility heroes. This is like 6 agility, which gives attack speed, which gives damage, which gives armor. So all better things for farming than Boots. So if you do think you're going to be hitting creeps more than running around, then for sure just get the Band of Elvenskin. You're getting fucked up right now, and this is like this is really bad, right?
Yes.
So it's really bad because you didn't go Dispersion. It's because you didn't maintain this creep equilibrium to maintain like a lead and eventually bully people out over time, because if they come down here, if you're in lane, if you're in lane, let's go to here. No, the creep has like never been under your tower. There we go. The very first wave, I think, was the only wave. No, it wasn't, because you pushed it. Alright, let's go top lane. Top lane you can block. You can. Alright, so the creep's here, right? And you have a stronger lane, like this Slark Lich is a much stronger lane than Spearbreaker Pudge.
Yeah.
The Slark can just walk to like here. Spearbreaker has to also walk back. And then once you're out of that creep aggro range, you can just click the fuck out of him, and then he leaves. And like maybe you lose 1 CS because the creeps are slow to damage, right? So that's 100% how you should go about these strong laners. Let me see. Look at my Slark losses. Pretty pog. So let's take a look at one of my games, and hopefully I can demonstrate to you that when you have a lane advantage, how you should be playing, and what sort of mechanisms you should be doing to maintain creep equilibrium. This is a pretty solid performance by me, and Sven is just so fucking broken that there's literally nothing I can do to win. Oh, it's rough, dude.
I know, rough.
So I think a pretty simple homework assignment this week will probably just say, let's get you in some just like last hit practicing, like 10 minutes of going into a bot game. That'll probably help just learn the natural flow, especially on the Radiant side. And then
prepare yourself.
Then let's do a couple games where all you do is pick a lane dominator, like Slark, Monkey King, Ursa, those types of heroes. And then let's see how you interact with the lane.
Okay.
So you see here, this is exactly what I was saying. I'm kind of posturing. I'm stronger the lane. I don't really want to be behind my creeps, because I want to trade, but I want to trade away from the lane so I don't interrupt with the flow of the game. And then if there's a CS, I'll go back and get it. But I'm coming up here, you know, just gonna smack the shit out of them. And like that's the power of being able to like have creep equilibrium.
Radiant should look to their bottom tower.
We mess it up now off that, but it's not really that bad because I didn't drag my creeps towards them, you know. So like, there's really nothing going on here. I also kind of want to maintain more than one range creep in this lane, because if I have 2 range creeps, they can never like trade near me. It's very scary for them. I think I just use this too. I think I'm just gonna hit him and heal up. Homeboy over here getting attacked. Maybe I get a kill. I'm not sure. Alright, so now the creep wave is back to me. So I'm going to do my best to keep it here. So let's see what I do. Nope, I try to kill it as fast as possible and bring it in. So yeah, I'm trying to push the lane because I do want 2 range creeps. Because I know that, this is what I was talking about, when I know that I have like a big advantage where I'm not going to die to Axe Earth Spirit. Like, I'm a level 4 Monkey King, he's level 2. So, like, you know, I'm telling my guy, pull creeps, please. Pull creeps, please. I have that down as one of my things.
You were winning.
Has been killed.
You're going to notice I have not used any regen in this lane. Like, I started off with very few tankos. CS, I'm probably, yeah, number 1 CS, so that's good. Using my advantage. Oh yeah, Monkey King has this G. See, even when I get under tower.
You're almost as good as me.
Yeah, I died.
Double kill.
So here you want boots in the canyon because you know you're going to be in the lane and trading with them?
Yeah,
Or, like,
you go boots first
them?
on these lane dominators. You always go boots first. So, yeah, I think this, you know, I think we've seen enough in terms of like, you know, when you're maybe we shouldn't do it on a lane dominator because they do play differently than like a Spectre. You know, let's play Spectre again. Let's try and just really hard maintain that creep equilibrium. And if you have any questions about like, well, the lane got into this state, what should I do? You know, but yeah, let's try to avoid playing up here as much as possible, and let's try and play down here as much as possible. So I'm gonna give you some homework in the pause 1 chat. So I'll say, let's go over here. Let's say homework 1. 10 minutes of bot CS. I mean, I would say per day, probably. You know, and then like, you know, what you have to do is maintain creep equilibrium. So this means like no pulling. Towers can't attack once. So you're just gonna go into, you know, like a, you know, play Dota, practice with bots, and then try it on, you know, Dire, try it on Radiant, and then get to the 10-minute mark. Your goal is gonna be goal equals 80 CS. So 80 CS is perfect CS. So he's not missing a single one. And the reason why this is super important is because if you can't do it in a game against passive bots, there's no fucking chance you could do it in a game against, like, you know, opponents.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to hit 80 CS against, like, you know, passive bots. That's like a bare minimum of like a rank 500 carry player. And then 2 is going to be practice maintaining creep equilibrium in real games. So this will be, you know, like, don't pull waves under tower. Think about creeps. Creep skipping, and then we'll think about posturing, maybe? I don't know, that's a bad one. And then we'll also say map out what items you'll need. Just think about it. Just think about items when you're in the game. Like, you know, think about your options and think about your pro cons. There we go.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for today's session?
And this is for like more passive-ish
Dyer's courier
games.
has been
For
killed.
passive games?
For less lane dominant carries. Not
Yeah,
lane
lane dominant carries. I mean, you basically play the same way on lane dominant heroes. There's like, for the most part, on lane dominant heroes, you play the lane here, and then when you want to attack people, you just make sure you don't drag your creeps. So you get for when you're playing Ursa and Slark, and you know you want this huge line here. You want this like, you know, runway to run somebody down. You really want that when you're playing Slark or Ursa.
Right. Okay.
Ooh, Mage Slayer bounty. But when you're playing, like, you know, Spectre, whatever, who cares? You know, just keep it here. You know, one of my chat people has asked. So in this game, what is it going to take for you to become the strongest hero on the map? That's a good question. I suppose that's what my question about items is. Yeah, when are you what items, what levels, when are you the strongest hero on the map?
I certainly don't feel like I think it's very hard to do that. I think even with like early and mid, definitely not. Late game, possibly with like, I don't know, because even with 6 slots, I feel like Ursa Slark does well against Spectre. Slark especially, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be able to man up against the Ursa, right?
I think my goal on this game was try and get the supports and then let OD be the one to really be dealing with the
Sure. Like, yeah,
big guys on their team.
OD does a really good job against these two heroes, and so you can really pick on the Slark and the sorry, not the Slark, the Lich. You can basically pick on. You know, I don't think you're ever going to be able to really man up. So what you could be doing and building towards is just like tanking spells, and so yeah, Aegis is for sure. Like, if you can get the Aegis, you're going to be fucking strong, right? Like, they're going to have to blow this big load on you, and it's going to suck. This team has crazy sustain through like Slark and Ursa, so like it's gonna be really hard for you to like man fight and kill these people. Like they can just always dip. So I would say you probably you just need to like wear people down by tanking spells. So I actually I'm gonna disagree with Xeriscape in my chat here. I think you definitely need Radiance to do that. You definitely need the mischance. So I would say like Radiance. And then you probably, after Radiance, then you bulk up a little bit and then finish with a Butterfly. That's probably when you're, like, so anytime you have Aegis, anytime you can, just tank the Ursa, like, force and Rage, anytime you can force the Slark to, like, Shadow Dance or something, then you can fuck somebody up. Then your team can fuck somebody up. And I do think Radiance is the play here just because it's going to be a farming accelerant to get you, like, a net worth advantage. And then it's also going to, so it's it's the best farming item on Spectre by far, because his kit is designed for mobility, not for like killing creeps fast. So Radiance will help you a lot there. And then I would definitely say the mischance coming in from Ursa, coming in from Slark, that's going to be like 18% evasion, 17% evasion. Is going to be so much better than like armor on you. So yeah, Radiance plus Radiance plus Manta, with Aegis. It's probably your first timing, and then your late game is the next one. Especially once you can, like, you know, fucking pop around with your shadow step. Like if you get ags or something, you'll be relatively unkillable. You just like jump around the map. But it's a hard Spectre game. It's a really hard Spectre game. So I would say you probably just want to tank spells so that your team can blow up people. You know, like tank, like be in front of your OD. Make sure he can't get caught. Make sure that, you know, the opponents are using their spells on you, and then maybe eventually you can do a buyback haunt play after you die. Which is hard. Okay. It's a really fucking hard Spectre game. But yeah, those laning dynamics are going to make things a lot easier. Like if you're probably mid-tier net worth, yeah. You're mid-tier net worth now. You definitely had the lane to be really high, like high net worth. This could have even been a Midas Radiance, given such an easy lane with these double melee who can't really bully you. And yeah, fix the item build. Dispersion, get this shit maxed. Or a skill build.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's about it. We'll follow up in like a week after you've practiced the homework items.
Okay.
All right, talk to you later, dude.
Yeah. Thanks.
Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Can you purge Silver Edge Break? No, you can't. You cannot. Wait, can you? Are you sure? What are you gonna purge it? I really don't think you can. With Manta? Let's see this. So let's go Army,
The time for preparation is
Tinker,
short. Use it wisely.
Silver Edge. Uh-oh. I'm broken. I purge it. I'm still broken.
This is the very definition of first blood.
Yeah, definitely.
Not yet.
Oh. So here it is. Boom. I'm broken. Not gonna get Desolate. There you go, Desolate. So cannot purge with a Manta anyways. I actually don't think you can purge with anything. I think even if I had a Baden, like if I have a Baden here, select this and level this motherfucker. I don't even think, like, this is the hardest dispel in the game. And if I go Silver Edge and smack him, he's broken. Upon my ult, it still stays. Yeah, I think even BKB. Refresh. So let's get this guy. I think I'm still broken. Still broken. You cannot dispel it. Sick. I should try out this Abaddon carry here, eh? Fucking just like go smack some people. Where are you going? AC Radiance Midas or something? That's good. I'm just killing myself. Cheers! Alright, see you boys.